Reagle's heart sank. He did the rough calculations. The nuke pump, or heavy fragments from its disintegration, could still be orbiting the comet.
Ixion, come in.
The enormity of his situation spurred him on.
How did they not?
It dawned on him.
She knew about the danger. They probably located the orbiting junk but decided not to tell me. Who knew what else she withheld from me?
He resolved not to think about it. No time to even mourn his colleagues. Marooned as he was, millions of kilometers from anywhere and traveling at 50 kilometers a second, his mission now focused on averting a disaster. When he returned to the hangar, he felt alone. To ease his apprehension, he headed out to the shuttle and secured it to the mooring clasp. He easily lifted the normally half-ton vehicle into position. A needless action, but it made him slightly less paranoid. Back at the hangar, the airlock frustrated him. Without some kind of keypad interface or audio capability, he had no way of getting Hesper to let him re-enter the facility. Containing his panic, he resorted to scavenging. First, he hit the nuke pumps, hoping to find any usable life support material. He entered the cockpit of the nearest pump and activated its airlock. As the cabin pressurized and the lights went from amber to white, he observed it right away. Food wrappers, clothing and sanitation packs were strewn everywhere. Hope and dread seized his throat.
They lived out here in a harsh, airless environment this whole time, for 2 months.
Reagle could not begin to fathom what kind of ordeal these Lapith 7 crew had endured. For the first time, he felt their presence. He booted up the pump's systems and checked the logs. Reagle found confirmation that the pumps were deployed at the time of radio silence. He looked at the tags. The command script was labeled Trajectory Rectification.
They were trying to correct the comet's trajectory.
He looked at the activity spreads. Each task had been completed. Reagle attempted to piece together what went down.
The crew was acting on some information that prompted them to instigate an emergency course correction, yet the outcome turned out to be a negative result. Had they been given the wrong information, that data would be still in the nav system, inside the habitat.
He told himself.
I need to get in somehow.
Reagle felt something under his boot. He looked down at his feet and noticed several cylindrical objects rolling around. Upon closer inspection, he figured out what they were. Quite heavy considering the low gravity, these were battery packs. The label read, Lace Drill. He knew right away what the crew was up to. Anyone familiar with the rig's engineering and stranded outside would come up with the same game plan. Most mining habitats orbit around the host asteroid, but during planetoid displacement operations, the habitat is generally embedded inside the celestial body, inside ice caves, strategically carved into vertical inclines located on the dark side of a comet. In Lapith projects, the habitat modules are buried under the ice in a donut shape, linked together and joined to a central axle, the airlock lift, by radial tubes. They do this to protect the habitat and equipment from the comet's volatile environment.
These modules all have maintenance hatches, accessible manually from outside.
Reagle ventured back out again, wasting no time. He knew what the crew was up to. All he had to do was find evidence of excavation works. A hexagonal container caught his attention, so Reagle crossed the hangar with one long leap. He opened and entered to find it well lit and stocked up with everything a space miner could ever need or want. Tools and perishables are all neatly stacked in storage rails inside the hex.
Nothing here.
Blue sticks were scattered everywhere.
What is it with these markers?
He did not spend too much time thinking about it. Instead, he explored the rest of the hangar, searching out feasible spots where the crew could have begun digging and melting their way down to the hatch doors.
Nothing here.
He climbed aboard the Snake-class platform and entered the control deck. To his subdued delight, he found an operator controller pack. He pressurized the deck and hastily checked the logs. All instructions since the launch date were instigated by the mechanoid's autopilot. But the last string of text was entered manually via the unit's human operator.
Waypoint 6. That's 42 meters from here.
Reagle wondered why such a short distance. He looked toward the back of the control deck, at an open manhole that accessed the maintenance shaft. Without hesitation, he dove for the opening, squeezing himself through, feet first. Barely spacious enough to crawl, Reagle managed to slide to the end of the tube, finding an open circular chamber. A sealed hatch ruled the floor. A las drill. Cartridges and two lifesuit helmets littered the space. Reagle opened the hatch.